Let's talk about the My Baap factor, the MY. She said Mahila and Yuva. We get Zaka and Rahul also to weigh in along with our other guests. But quickly taking our viewers through some of the X factors. One of the first things one has to see and consider with respect to Nitish Kumar and the NDA JDU, anti-incumbency. Will Nitish's freebies translate into votes? Because every time this whole conversation around Nitish Kumar and boredom comes around, but he swings it. There are those who will come back and vote for him. Last time around, the women bailed him out. Will they do so again? The SIR politics. Who will benefit from this entire voter roll revision? 48 lakh people, were they even part of this list? Is it going to make such a big difference? Spiraling crime graph, will a spotlight on crime surge cost Sushasan Babu is a big question mark. But will that counter come in saying, listen, we are doing Bihar elections in 1 or 2 phases? We don't know if that happens, but if that happens, will that become a big counter? And is the level of crime as per the NCRB data at its lowest in Bihar despite the recent occurrences? All eyes on Seemanchal. Will the entire infrastructure boost sway Seemanchal's 24 seats for the NDA? The Prime Minister's push in Purnia and a lot of other important announcements, the airport that has come there, all of that has been to try and woo that belt, which is largely weaned away. The issue of infiltrators, demographic changes, will that help or hurt the NDA? Jan Suraaj, will that hype Prashant Kishore, will he be a kingmaker or a vote cutter or not even someone who is going to dent either of the sides? All that effort, will it all come to a naught? We have to wait and watch on this. But Zaka, Rahul, your thoughts on this?
So look,
let's take 2 parts. One is Jan Suraaj, the other one is this entire Muslim Yadav and Mahila Yuva. If you
Prashant Kishore is an X factor, no doubt about it, because this is the first time he's actually contesting the election. So you have no historical data to look at, who will he actually cut the votes off? Will he cut the votes of the NDA? Will he cut the votes of the Mahagabandhan? Likely he will cut the votes of the NDA because he is also appealing to the same sections, the same vote banks, right? Mahila, Yuva, particularly young people. He's promising them jobs, and he's also got upper caste credentials. So it's possible that he might hurt the NDA a little more than the Mahagabandhan. But the women thing, which you were referring to, and I want to show this to you, how it changed, how the election changed in 2020 in phases 2 and 3. This is where the election turned, and this is where the NDA won. This is the areas which are sort of north of the Ganga, the northern part of Bihar. These were the 2 phases, phase 2 and phase 3 in 2020. The southern part was largely won by the Mahagabandhan. That's where they got a bulk of their seats. But if you look at the northern parts, Mithilanchal, parts north of Patna, essentially, the NDA there had 103 out of the 170 odd seats, and the Mahagabandhan had only 63. The further interesting part is, out of these 103 seats, I think 68 or 69 seats, which is more than half, the number of women voters outnumbered the number of men voters, and in some constituencies by up to 4 and 5%. So this is where really the election turned as far as 2020 is concerned. Out of these 103 seats, the 68 or 69 seats where women voters outnumbered male voters, that is where the NDA turned this election, because in phase 1, like we're all aware, it was the Mahagabandhan which sort of ran away with this, the parts of the Magad, and of course the southern part of Bihar, the Jehanabad, Aurangabad, that belt. But really, when it went past, the election caravan rolled to north of the Ganga, that's where the election turned.
This time then, do you think if it is single phase or 2 phases, will be 50-50 North and South Bihar? Will they split it like that?
So if you were to look at it, let's say if you go back to the 2020 election, the phase 1 was actually the entire southern belt, not just in the what used to be the erstwhile Naxal belt in this western part of the state, but also all the way down to the districts that border Bengal. So the entire southern part, and look at it, out of those 71 seats, the Mahagabandhan had 47. The NDA had only 22. So the whole election flipped after phase 1. And flipped primarily because of the women, because there's data to show that it's the women who made the difference.
So less Muslim Yadav, more Mahila Yuva. Agree, disagree, Rahul?
Yes, so I was reading a book a few years back by Rahul Verma and Pradeep Chibbar. Hopefully we'll see a lot more of them in the next few days on the coverage. They wrote a book called Ideology and Identity, and they really talked about this whole concept of vote buying. They were very blunt. In the title was called Vote Buying in Indian Elections or something like that. And they talked about hard data which they crunched to say, what really wins the woman voter over? Is it security from crime, etc.? Remember what is always said, that when Lalu Prasad and company come to power, there is an increased apprehension amongst women about law and order. That's the narrative that is built. Whether it's true or not, empirically I can't say, but that's the narrative. Jungle Raj aa gaya. So I think one thing that Nitish has been able to do, and remember he's actually been very politically flexible, elastic, call it what you want to, he's ruled with the RJD, he's also ruled with the BJP, but somehow women voters have trusted Nitish Kumar with being a benefactor when it comes to guaranteeing their overall security. Things are much better. Anecdotally, if you go to Bihar, and I happened to be there about a year back, talking to some people, and they were saying that it's easier now for women to go out in the evenings, pursue work without, apprehending harm. Now, where do these SOPs come in? Because there's been a great focus in the run-up to this election. Some people have also politicized this, saying that, election announcements have been delayed so that these SOPs can be. And we've seen SOPs now for women across elections in different states, specifically over the last 8-9 months. So both Rahul Verma and Pradeep Chhipar say that the effectiveness is conditional upon 2 or 3 things. Number one, yes, it is an incentive, but does it actually make an overall difference to electoral choices, or are they still formulated on the basis of the lived experience over 5 years? So women do think of the past, and then they're canny enough to also suggest, okay, if they want me to feel a little better about things, I don't mind taking the incentive. But that only happens when the past is relatively speaks well of governance. Number 2, let's not forget that, implementation is very important, Anand. So you can promise a lot, but you may not deliver. And that creates its own backlash. So I think what the NDA is going to do, and Aman can sort of weigh in on this, is going to play up the fact that when Modi guarantees, he delivers. When others guarantee, they don't deliver.
Yeah, so the NDA story and the Prime Minister's story, Aman, it's important for us to also understand that because of this ethanol production and use of corn in ethanol, there has been a massive bump up for the Kisan in that area. Also, along with that, this entire Makhana board. These will all elevate the lives of the common people on ground in that region. Is this all going to help the NDA and Prime Minister's stock there? Is it higher than ever before?
Well, Anand, I will tell you one thing based on my brief travels to Patna a couple of months back. People there, the stock of Mr. Narendra Modi remains very, very high. You land in Patna now, you are at the Jayaprakash Narayan the new terminal, which is so swanky. I have been to Bihar earlier, many years ago. It was a really small airport. Now you go to Patna, you have the Patna metro coming up, you have flyovers coming up, this new bridge built over the Ganga after decades, which takes you to Raghopur, which is Tejasvi Yadav's constituency, to which so far from Patna you have to go by boat by crossing the Ganga. So I think nobody can deny that the infrastructure, the development in Bihar, which has happened under the NDA, especially under Mr. Narendra Modi, is unparalleled. That is something that is the ace up the BJP sleeve. Now, what the NDA calculation is, that what happened in the last election is that while the BJP did well, Nitish Kumar had completely collapsed. And that was the reason that, the margin was not much. But what happened, went wrong in the last election with them was that both Chirag Paswan fought independently, heard the JDU. Chirag Paswan did not win any seat, but he heard the JDU. Similar was Upendra Kushwaha. He also did not perform that well, but both Upendra Kushwaha and Chirag Paswan had heard the JDU. This time the situation is completely different. Both Upendra Kushwaha and Chirag Paswan are inside the NDA, and they're going to contest along with the NDA in a seat sharing arrangement. So the calculation in the NDA is that while the BJP will continue to do very well, it is the JDU whose performance is going to rise because of Chirag Paswan, and Upendra Kushwaha will also perform. That is the calculation in the NDA camp. Yes, top NDA leaders I have spoken to say it's a tough election. It is not an election we have won yet. We can't be complacent. We have to really work on the ground. Nobody knows what Prashant Kishore, who is going to hurt, because even the last election, Chirag Paswan, was the X factor. He contested alone, but he could not win any seat. But he hurt the JDU. Similarly, Prashant Kishore may not win that many seats, but may he end up hurting one of the alliances.
Right. Thank you for that, Aman. And will that happen? Because last time around, the political compulsions, also viewers were very different. The BJP had different aspects at stake, and they wanted to try and somewhere ensure that the BJP remains strong. The political compulsions, dynamics have changed, but as all eyes are on that press conference and that briefing by the Election Commission, it all started with this exercise of the SIR, which had last been undertaken by the ECI only back in 2003. 48 lakh, and a majority of these are either dead and displaced viewers. And it's not even the Farji voters, that's a different story. But this is the bulk. And they were all part of the voter list even in the Lok Sabha elections in 2024. So there will be questions around that, the SIR, and this exercise now to be taken pan Bharat. So next place, again, politically, West Bengal becomes a hot button issue. But is Bihar going to be conducted, the election going to be conducted in a single phase or a double phase? That itself perhaps will underline Sushasan, and credit will be taken, appropriated rightly by Nitish government and also the BJP, saying that we are the ones who are ensuring that the election cycle itself is shrinking and it's come to perhaps at par with a lot of other states in the country. Let's listen to some of the reactions.
Single phase election for Bihar will be historic because there was a time when we had it in 5 and 6 phases because of law and order problem there.
जब लालू जी का शासनकाल था या कांग्रेस का शासनकाल था, बूथ कैप्चर होते थे, जन संघर्ष बूथ पर ही होता था, कई सौ लोग मरते थे, कई हजार लोग गिरफ्तार होते थे। लेकिन इसने पिछले 20 वर्षों में इक्का दुक्का घटना छोड़ करके कोई बूथ कैप्चरिंग की घटना नहीं हुई है, कोई मर्डर नहीं हुआ है, कोई कास्ट स्ट्रगल बूथ पे नहीं होते हैं। छठ के तुरंत 1, 2, 3 दिन तक जो प्रवासी बिहारी हैं वो बिहार में रहते हैं, उसी दौरान अगर वोटिंग हो जाती है तो उनको अपना वोट डालने का अधिकार मिलेगा।
So my final 2 questions for you. How much of an impact is SIR going to hold in Bihar? Do you think it will be an issue, vote catching issue?
देखिए, ये आरजेडी का, कांग्रेस का एक ऐसा स्लोगन है, ये वोट चोरी नहीं है, ये उनके जन आधार की चोरी हो चुकी है, इसलिए बौखलाहट है।